Welcome to the show where we share the stories of the many who intersect with our healthcare system but are rarely heard from. My name is Kevin Poe, founder and editor of KevinMD. Today in the show, we welcome back Casey Schukow. He is a medical student and he wrote the KevinMD article, What I Learned About Medicine in the House of Pain. Casey, welcome back to the show.
Kevin, thank you so much for having me. Glad to be back.
Now, for those who didn't get a chance to listen to our first episode together, can you just briefly share your story and journey to where you are today?
Absolutely. So I'm a fourth-year medical student at Michigan State University College of Osteopathic Medicine. I'm living here in Southeast Michigan and pursuing dermatology. Before I joined, got into medicine, I played football for a number of years, and I think it was a big kind of hallmark of my life and my identity. And it was definitely initially early on transition from football into medicine. It was definitely a struggle at first, but I think now that I'm a couple of years away from football and a couple of years into, I've definitely been able to rely on the help and support of friends, family, faculty, other physicians, students, you name it. And I've definitely been able to, I think, embrace everything I've learned from lessons from my past, from football, and trying to apply them into medicine and my life moving forward.
So I know that you're nearing the end of the interview season. How's that going?
It's got ups and downs and everything in between. It's definitely been a roller coaster of emotions, but you know what? I've been, I think, incredibly blessed. I've got to meet some incredible program directors, faculty, co-residents, and I've been had tremendous support. And I think overall, it's been a very, very, very positive interview season. I can't ask for anything more.
Now, the topic of osteopathic medicine sometimes has come up on my site. Now, has that come up on the interview trail, osteopathic versus allopathic education?
Actually, not too much. I mean, I think the only thing I can really think of, especially with dermatology, for a long time, I think there was predominantly allopathic physicians or MD physicians who were in a field like dermatology. It's a very, very specialized field. Kind of like how ophthalmology is another one. I think of off the top of my head. And I've had a couple of physicians who will kind of talk with me if I've faced anything, especially as an osteopathic student. And on the whole, I've had, I think, tremendous support from MD and DO doctors alike. And I think that there was a much greater understanding of, hey, whether you're an MD or a DO, you take the same exams, you go through the same schooling. If you're a good doctor, if you're a hard worker, sincere, you're everything up above. That's what's recognized more. And I think the title at the end of your name.
All right. Well, good luck with the rest of your interviews and good luck with the match.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. So let's talk about your KevinMD article. It's titled, What I Learned About Medicine in the House of Pain. Now, for those who didn't get a chance to read your article, can you just walk my audience through it and share the story of why you decided to write it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the story is about Dr. D.S. Ping, and Doc, he's basically my second father. I've known him for a very long time, ever since I was 12, 13 years old, going through my football journey. Doc is what we call a Shihan in jujitsu. So he studies Jujitsu, which is something that I got the wonderful opportunity to get to learn from and meet some of his students who were black belts, who were my teachers, and also got a chance to train with NFL guys who were getting ready to go into the summer camps since I was 13, 14, 15 years old. And so really got immersed into, I think, the world of Doc Ping. And Doc is someone who I look back in my life, and he is one of the most, I think, monumental influences, of, I think, of what I am, of who I am. And, he's definitely he's an intimidating man physically. He's the only person who's put the, quote unquote, fear of God into me. But, he's also someone who he has such a tremendous heart of gold. And I think that's something that we cannot forget, to look on. So he's definitely taught me a lot about both hard work, sacrifice, dedication, but love and compassion, and I think overall, how to be a good person, and whatever our faults are, just to continue to work on them and get better.
You wrote in your article, while medical school is difficult, it does not compare to the arduousness and tenacity of Doc's House of Pain. So take us into some of those sessions. Tell us some of the stories that prepped you and made these sessions so much more difficult than medical school.
Absolutely. As tough as medical school has been, I have not woken up the day after a long day of medical school, board studying, and have not been able to, get off of the toilet, so to speak, because my legs were cramping from just the incredible hard work, physical work that I had done for my jiu-jitsu session the night before. And so to preface that, my very first day in the dojo, with some of the docs guys getting ready for the NFL. You know, it's in the summertime, so it's already hot outside. It was hot in the dojo as well back in my hometown, Saline. And we had to warm up or start the class with a workout called squat kicks. And for everyone who has doesn't know what squat kick is, it's you're doing a full body weight squat in air, legs shoulder length apart, and you get down as low as you can, and then you pop back up as fast as you can, as hard as you can, and you deliver a front kick as fast as you can. And it's all about perfect form. It's all about doing it as hard as you can. And we do that with my right leg, then we do it with my left leg, and then right leg, left leg, 1,000 times all together. And that was our warm up. And that was the first time I've ever done, ever been to the dojo, ever done squat kicks. And we had also done hundreds of other kicks and punches and forms, at the end of that hour and a half session. So yeah, the next day I was definitely, my body was killing me. That whole lactic acid thing, that's a real thing. And, but as much as it was physically tough, it's something that they teach about in the dojo is, it's not just the bone, it's not just the body, it's the mind, it's the spirits. And that's something that I learned, or at least started to learn very early on in my training with Doc and in the dojo. So medical school is very, very hard. It's a very tough, demanding journey, but I feel very well prepared, I think, through my schooling, through the rotations right now, and through the application process, because I've had experiences like that with Doc and with the students and the NFL guys in the dojo.
So you mentioned that the training wasn't just physical, but it also strengthened your spirit and your mind. Give us an example of how that strength translated to perhaps a specific incident or story during medical school where you thought to yourself, I'm so happy I had this training.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, to be honest with you, this process that I'm kind of going through right now with the application season and the interviews, and kind of being wondering, gosh, am I going to have a job in a few months? It's a very difficult thing. It's a difficult thing to go through. And anyone who's gone through the match, it's a scary process. And it's something where you're auditioning, you're getting to meet and getting to know so many programs and program directors and residents over the past few months. And I think, for the most part, COVID, although we have another surge right now, back in the fall time, we've had the opportunity to do things that other students didn't have the chance to get to do a year ago. I'm very blessed and thankful for all those opportunities. But it's rigorous, it's a demanding process. You're putting your very best because you're trying to find, geez, where am I going to fit? Can I see myself, working here, having a career here, establishing relationships here, supporting a team? And it's a rigorous process. It takes a lot of patience. It takes trying to keep, I think, a very, very level head. But I know my experiences, with Doc and with having those very tough sessions and learning how to stick with the grind and to keep a positive attitude, it goes such a long way. So this is definitely, I think, a moment where all that training with Doc, I know it's coming full circle. And hopefully once St. Patty's Day comes, this year, the circle will be complete, at least for this stage. And then we kind of start things back up, but we'll worry about that when that time comes.
Now, for those medical students who may be listening to this podcast, and obviously they don't have the benefit of Doc Ping's training, what are some lessons you could perhaps pass down to them?
Absolutely. I think there's three big lessons that I learned from Doc that I think any students and any walk of life, and I think especially medicine, can really take away. And there are kind of three pillars of the dojo and things that they're pretty much kind of their rules, or the best word to kind of describe them are, but we recite them at the beginning and end of every class, as a group. So, we'll never forget them. And the first thing is to be courteous. And whatever you're doing, just be a good person, be kind, warm-hearted, and all of that. We would always, especially in the dojo, we would bow to each other before doing a form, before doing a technique, a drill, and afterwards, because that was just a polite thing to do. And whoever you are with, other students, teachers, if you're in the rotations, nurses, MAs, pharmacists, just be a courteous person, be a good person, wherever. It carries such a long way, and you want to be in an environment where everyone's helping each other out that way, as being nice to each other. I think especially with this past few years of COVID, negativity, we can't have it. Continue to be a positive, bring a positive attitude and be a positive force. I think the next one is to be sincere. Give it your very best. Work hard. And that I just cannot be understated enough. Medical school, it requires a lot of hard work. and people's lives are in our hands. We make decisions that impact others and families and communities, and that can be a scary thing when you think of sometimes, but it's a great responsibility to have. It's something that I am looking forward to continue to be able to do, to try to have that positive impact. But I think we don't have the privilege of having that without working hard and staying dedicated and keeping your nose to the grind, so to speak. So be very, very sincere. In the dojo, if you're not giving it your best, your classmates know, your instructors know, and this is not the reputation you want to have as someone who is cutting the corners, who X, Y, and Z. The last thing, maybe the biggest one, I think at least to me personally, is guiding kindly. And it's knowing when you need to put your arm around your teammate's shoulder, around your classmate's shoulder, say, hey, it's going to be all right. I'm here with you. As well as knowing when you put your foot in somebody's backside, so to speak, and say, hey, you got to get yourself together. We need you right now. You got to work, do a little bit more. I think it's definitely rather than mentorship and trying to be there for others and help those, like for me, helping younger medical students, trying to bring them up to my to my level where I am right now. And when I get into residency, students trying to apply for residency, when you get into that and then become a doctor, so on and so forth. You can't repeat that whole cycle. And I think that part is so important. Again, knowing when to put your arm around somebody's shoulder and know when to put your foot in somebody's backside and say, hey, we got to pick things up a little bit.
We're talking to Casey Schukow. He is a medical student and he wrote the KevinMD article, What I Learned About Medicine in the House of Pain. Casey, now that you're nearing the end of your 4th year, can you reflect back on your medical journey and think, is there anything that surprised you during medical school that you didn't anticipate?
One thing that I think actually didn't surprise me, that now I look back and I think, man, it's one of the best surprises in the world, is that I think I made some lifelong friends. And I think I was a person myself who I think for a very long time, I think had struggled making friends. I had struggled being a vulnerable person. I had really struggled, I think putting, my heart into somebody else's shoulders, or really kind of putting myself out there and letting somebody else, help me out when I needed the help. I think especially with sports and with football, there's so much, I think, dog eat dog in there, and you learn sometimes, it's me versus everyone else. And I don't have that feeling here in medicine. I haven't had that feeling, at Michigan State especially. I have, I met a wonderful person who hopefully in the next few months will be fiance, and she's a year beneath me at MSUcom, and I couldn't be more thankful. And I've also got some friends in my class and her classes, residents that I've gotten to know that I still stay in touch. Having, I think, those lifelong friendships, and I think really being able to make more friendships and really establish great relationships with colleagues. I think that's something that's, there's so much support out there, especially in medical school, especially in this journey. You just gotta allow yourself to be vulnerable and put yourself out there, and you see that you have a lot of things in common with a lot of other students going through a similar process, and it's been a really cool experience.
And my final question: what are some of your take-home messages that you want to leave with the KevinMD audience?
Absolutely. I think number one, I gotta say, go on Amazon, Legend of Doc Ping. There are a bunch of short stories. Here's man's life from pretty much escaping a war-torn region in Southeast Asia to going through foster homes to facing really just tremendous amounts of discrimination, to where he was able to finally build himself back up and be a prominent school figure, as well as NFL agent and trainer. And someone who is, like I say, still my second father. So one of the biggest, I think, influences in my life. Please check out the book on Amazon. And I think above all else, again, be courteous, be sincere, guide others kindly, and just hang in there and show thanks where thanks is due. We can't get through this journey alone. I have not been able to get through this journey alone by any means. It does take a village, and allow yourself to be vulnerable and put your heart and your hands to everyone else in the village, and be very, very receptive, I think, to criticism as well. And you're gonna learn a lot, and you can help a lot of people and community, family, everything above. So it's been tremendous blessing, and I'm very thankful to be in the position I am in. And I know the future seems a little scary right now, but you know what? I know by the big man's grace above, or whoever grace we pray to and think of, it's going to work out in the end. And that's something I do feel reassured of.
Casey, thank you so much for sharing your story, time, and insight. And thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I appreciate it.